What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode 476. My name is Steve, one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
Mendacity! I'm not going to say it 3 times. But my name's John.
Go. Hey, John. How you doing?
Hi.
Hi, John.
Because if you say mendacity 3 times, I think it means that you've challenged someone to a duel somehow.
Ooh,
I'm not
that's true.
100% clear on that, but
that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? How you been? You feel any difference since we picked our top 10?
I do. So, stomach issues over here. I don't know if you guys have stomach issues. And one of the things that just gives me a relief of all relief is just the end of the day dump. And I swear to God, man, like letting those 10 movies off my chest just felt like a
weight off your chest.
Yeah, just
like a giant dump.
Yeah, like a chocolate emoji, just fucking with the eyes. Just a shit emoji coming out. Yeah. Soft serve.
That reminds me, this week, I don't know why it suddenly made the rounds in my world again, but there was a little meme that I'd seen this quote from Jordan Peele before, that the moment when he decided to focus on directing was when he got offered the part of the shit emoji in the Emoji Movie.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
I saw that, man.
And then he was like, or asked to come read for it or whatever, but maybe he was offered it flat out. But either way, to be like, dang, no. I will not, I shall not.
I shan't.
I shan't be shit.
Damn.
But no, I know what you mean, Ronald. And I've tried to rethink my list, and maybe some orders bump around for me a little bit, like maybe things that were in my 6 through 10 would be possibly higher. I don't know.
Right.
But I felt pretty solid. I haven't seen anything that would change my list. But I will say a movie that we're going to talk about tonight. I'll go ahead and say it. Bone Temple. I'm not going to try to be coy because we're talking about 2 movies tonight.
Yeah.
But if that had been a last year movie,
sure.
I think it has the potential to be a top 10 movie for sure. Like, so, maybe I think
you're right.
Spoiling my conversation about that film a little bit, but I thought that movie kicked ass.
It makes me feel crazy because you're saying that, but I also put the first one on my list.
Yeah, Ron and I had it in our top 10 last year.
Yeah,
it makes me 2025.
Yeah, so I'm like, what are you talking?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this last week, but we hadn't all seen it yet. And it was like, that thought crossed my mind of like, well, if that guy made it into the top 10, where's this one going to end up?
Yeah.
I guess
Are you drinking a Celsius?
I surely am.
Have you watched Platonic yet?
No, I haven't. I watched a little bit of the first season.
You remember the Celsius episode?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was that in the first or the second season?
Second season.
Okay.
Second season. It's really funny discussion about Celsius, and I'm addicted to them. I'm a big fan of them.
Oh my God. My wife is recently addicted, so maybe I'll get her together with you.
They're solid, man. So many flavors.
I've got kiwi guava right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty cool.
Just for anybody that's wondering, we haven't gone corporate. I feel like there's like this. My friend said to me, man, so you got fucking sponsors now, you bitch. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. First and foremost, do not call me a bitch before 8 p.m. And
thankfully, it's after that now we're recording, so are we allowed to?
Secondly, this is an organic, I feel like one of the things that'll probably happen in the future is for anything that we endorse, it'll be something that kind of fits into our lives. So we won't be selling like douche or something like that. We won't be selling like or fucking.
I mean, if we're approached by the right douching enterprise, and they make the right offer, I might find it compelling. But I feel like what people just saw was a perfectly natural and unsponsored conversation about delicious Celsius drinks, now available in many different flavors: kiwi guava and the rest.
And the rest. And the others.
Yeah, and the others, right?
Yeah, the others.
But no, I've always thought about that we would love to have that kind of, like, it'd be great. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of money in this stuff anyway, unless you're pulling in millions and millions of clicks and listens.
Yeah.
But there's still that idea that, oh yeah, I would, there's something kind of fun about ad reads.
Yeah, for sure.
But only if it's actually a product that you don't think is like for some terrible company or, you know, some snake oil or something like that. So yeah, people, I feel like the Kaleidoscape thing, if people have seen it on the feed, I feel like it's a natural extension of the conversations we have here anyway, where Ronald and Steve will talk about the equipment that they have, and I will think about the fact that I never like do anything fancy with my home presentation, except buy slightly larger televisions. It seems like every now and then we just go out and get a bigger television.
There you go.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And next time you talk about my equipment on this podcast, make sure you get my permission, okay?
All right, you're right.
Hey, Ronald, does that not fall under the after 8 p.m. rule too?
Yeah, after 8 p.m. I thought all bets were off.
That's true. This is HBO Real Sex.
It's listen, bitch. We'll talk about your equipment if we want
to. Right. Oh God,
this is a safe space.
Safe space.
Oh man. Okay.
So required viewing, man. I feel like you picked one that was feels timely, man. Feels like very timely.
Sure.
And
very uplifting, a very bright, whimsical film to watch on a cold winter day.
Yeah, it doesn't match the weather or feeling of life right now at all, right?
Right.
As a father who has just seen his son celebrate his 18th birthday and is, you know, looking at his how have I imprinted on him? How have I set him up for success or failure in the world? It was a very inspiring story of a father and a son. And I didn't know it was based on a true story until after.
Holy shit!
After I saw it,
I didn't know that.
Well, Nikki said, was this based on a true story? Because we both were like, this is so dismal. The only reason you would tell this story would be if it was true. You know, like you wouldn't sit around and just make this story up. But I wasn't sure how much it was kind of loosely based on or totally based on. And it seems like some things from it, I mean, a lot of the details are straight from like the news story about something that happened, I think, in Memphis in 2010.
Yeah, West Memphis.
And boy, West Memphis can't catch a break.
I was going to say, don't say that. Yeah, it's like,
but yeah, I didn't know how much like some of the key details were like the details of the shootout and stuff like that were directly from the news story. Some of the other stuff, like Dennis Quaid's character, seems like a fictionalized character, and I don't know if there was actually anyone who lost their son like that in the shootout. You know. Aside from
he died, I don't know, but at the end I was very confused about that. I was like, they died. The son died, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's make it sure. It was...
Yeah, but I'll jump ahead 30 seconds if you really want the big spoiler of this movie not to be revealed. The dog lived.
Yeah.
Okay. That meant a lot to me that the dog survived, because they kept just occasionally cutting to the dog to show us that the dog was still with them and still alive. And Nikki would occasionally be like, "Where's the dog?" And I would be like, "I don't think this scene's about the dog, Nikki. I wouldn't expect to see the dog." And then a few scenes later, they would just cut to him or her. Molly was the dog's name, and I was glad that in the end the dog like ran out of the. But I loved how the dog didn't just like run away from the scene of the shooting. It was like the dog was like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out of here." It was like going somewhere, like off on it was a Disney movie style journey that dog went on. You know.
Yeah.
That dog was like, "Are those 45 shells? Fuck this." Wait.
I gotta go. I barely know these assholes.
I don't agree with that value system.
Right. I don't think we even said the name of the movie, did we? Like,
no.
We jumped in. Yeah, we're talking about my pick this week, which is Sovereign. This is a movie that came out towards the end of 2025 with like a day and date release and a limited theatrical release, and it came out on digital but it's on a couple different platforms now. I mentioned 2 episodes ago now. Like, I think it's on Hulu, but you can also buy it digitally. But yeah, I mean, this is based on true events. It follows a father-son who are kind of a part of the sovereign citizens group, and which is like anti-government extremists. And they're kind of get into a situation that creates an even worse situation. Again, not to give, it's based on true events, but we don't need to go through the actual step-by-step of the movie. But I just wanted to say that, it is a little bit of a challenging watch, because it is like, it does, to Ronald's point, or whoever said it, it feels very now, and it feels very like this stuff happens seemingly a lot, and sadly and unfortunately, but watching it, and I think intentionally, the impact it has on the son is just like the real story of the movie. And it's like, it's heartbreaking. And Jacob Tremblay plays the son, Joseph Kane, and Nick Offerman plays the father, Jerry Kane. Again, the real names. I think the police officers' names were changed for the movie. But
yeah, but those were, I was surprised that it was the real father and son names. That was directly from life.
But yeah, I don't know, like, great performances. Nick Offerman, I think they're both really great in it, but the kid stuff is just so heartbreaking. I mean, the decisions he makes out of fear, and just at times trying to like stay in line with his father and impress his father maybe, and just kind of how it just completely derails and destroys this kid's life. The moments where you kind of see him kind of wanting to take a placement exam, and like, the little bout of schooling that he had when he was like in the probation area or the juvenile detention area. It's just so sad that like this is a real thing that like people identify with. And I'll just speak for myself. I'm just like, this is ridiculous to me that people think this way. Yeah. And that there's so many victims in a trail, and it may not be death or things like it is in this story, but a victim as a child and a life that is lost, or a life that could have been had. It's just heartbreaking, man. Like, seeing so many moments in this movie with the son, and kind of the conflict you could see him facing from the mental, emotional, physical abuse from the father is just devastating. Just devastating.
Yeah, I as a father felt real. I mean, I guess you don't have to be a father to have this thought, but I'm just saying, as a person who, like I said, has a kid who just turned 18, right? I think about this all the time, like the role that you play, like just how much are you really there? Right. And there's a scene early in this movie where Nick Offerman goes in and like checks his homework, and then gives him some words of advice, and then kind of leaves and shuffles back off to his bullshit down the hall, where he's like going on a radio show or whatever. And it's like, it reminded me of something I'm probably guilty of, but I also think whenever I catch myself doing it, I zing myself for it, which is like when you do that kind of drive-by parenting, where you're like, I just stopped in to check your homework, and I did that, and now I gave you a couple of words of advice, and I said, hey, you know what? Don't listen to the system. Like, I just dropped a truth bomb on you, and then I'm going to walk away. And it's like, you didn't do anything just then. Like, you just kind of played the part. You like went through like a script. And at that part of the movie, early on, not knowing the true story, I was really like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I wondered, because if you don't know the story is a tragedy, you come into it thinking like, is this situation going to be like rough but kind of quirky almost? And then even through like the first speech that we see Nick Offerman's character giving to like a group of people, you're like, this guy's a little off the beaten path. Yeah. But very soon you see how extreme his views really are. And how much, that whole, again, I'm not saying it's all anti-government thought is this way, but like this movie really underlines that delusion that people have, where it's like, you want to benefit from all the benefits of community and society, but you don't want to do your part to keep things going. And I don't know if this is true of the real man, but in the movie they make a point of, for a couple of these events that he stages, like he makes out with enough money to pay the rent on his house, or to put down a payment, and instead he like gambles and shit like that. And it's like, I don't know, to me that says something about, maybe that's commentary the movie's trying to make on a type of freeloading type of personality, or maybe that's a truth about Jerry Kane I don't know. But that part really, it's like that increasingly darkening portrait of this guy that you get until the movie really blows up. And then I think the thing that you were kind of getting at, Steve, with the tragedy of the son is like, who actually is the person who escalates this beyond the point of no return, and how it happens is like to me, like the moment where I felt the most sickened in the movie, yes. Like the way that scene played out and like what that made me feel for the characters in the movie. And that's when I really did start to think, oh, okay, this isn't going to go well for anybody then, because I don't really have hope even for this character who seemed like maybe there are characters in this movie who seem like they have a little bit of hope around them, but this is not a story that's designed to have hope in it. And as I find out, it's based on an event that is rather bleak and hopeless as well. So, But yeah, great performances. And I thought Jacob Tremblay, like, man, like the sensitivity of this performance was astonishing to me. Like he played him so, like there's such a gentle, sweet quality to this kid in some scenes, and even the way his hair is cut, he's like so boyish looking. And there's a scene where he's in the detention center and they've stuck him in a room where it's decorated a little bit like for a younger kid, but he sits on the bed in that antiseptic environment and he's like holding a teddy bear for a second, and you like that moment just really killed me, because it's like he's both too old for that teddy bear and he kind of yearns for that, like he needs that.
It's something that was missed. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's really sad. But these movies, it's like one of those things where it's like, this is like a really hard movie to be like, it's a really good movie, but I think it was a really good movie. Like it's a really well-made, performance-driven film based on true events, but it's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, sad on both sides too.
Yeah.
Like, because we do have this lawman, we got Dennis Quaid and his son and all that stuff that's happening, and that part is incredibly tragic as well. Yeah. And I do think they earned that last moment. I think Dennis Quaid is an interesting actor to watch now. Because like you see him, even Nikki, who doesn't usually do this kind of thing. We were just watching the movie, and when he popped up, she said, "Oh, good old MAGA Dennis Quaid."
Get him, Nikki.
But like there is something weird about like him now, and I do think he's playing a little bit like something about the dyed hair or whatever, or he's got like sometimes a guy in his age group, like he's not playing old yet, and so he's still playing kind of a younger sort of role, and maybe that's a real like age that guy would be in. I don't know, but I did think that was like at times I thought that was a pretty good performance, and at other times I feel like there's something odd about Dennis Quaid that is like he's not the most subtle actor, and so I don't know. Some of the moments in this were served well by that kind of performance, but I do think the way his final moment in the movie I thought was a really poignant moment. So.
He also has oh God, I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. What a rapper once called Bobby Brown jaw, which is like when you've done enough drugs that you have like a your if you notice when he's acting, is anybody with an addict in their family knows about the Bobby Brown jaw. But
you know what I find helps with Bobby Brown jaw?
What helps with
a sparkling Celsius fruit drink.
Yeah, reverse those symptoms of Bobby Brown jaw.
Now with more essential energy. It actually says that on here.
Yeah.
Is that like? Isn't that from Transformers?
Holy shit!
No, but that's my thought on this movie. Now this is a very you kind of said it, Steve. It's just like a rough watch. But it also, I think that the way that it ends does give it a little hint of something extra, like not to say necessarily more hopeful, but it does find a way to kind of feel like it's saying something about these characters beyond just this is what happened. There's something about rearing and parenting and what kind of influence you want to have on somebody whose care you're responsible for, that like that last moment in the movie kind of underlines something that maybe it feels a little on the nose. I don't know. For me though, that felt like that moment was really, I didn't expect to get that moment at the end. And so it felt kind of welcome to see this like choice that gets made in the final second that is actually, to me, kind of meaningful, even if I'm not quite sure I know what the movie's trying to say about, like, what was it, regressive sleep there? What is the... basically the idea of, do you pick your kid up when they cry, or do you let them cry?
Right.
Yeah, it's like cry it out.
Yeah,
like it when I don't think it's sleep regression or regressive sleep. I can't remember what the name of it is, but we always called it crying out when we were like, can we do this? Does this feel right? You know, like,
what's funny is that it's a mix, or at least that's what we experienced. Was like there's times where you're like, okay, we need to see it. You need to see if your kid is going to cry for a few minutes and then fall asleep.
Right.
And then if they don't, you maybe need to see what the hell is going on. You can't just like be like, all right, we're going to leave a kid who might have some major issues or something. But at the same time, you can't like just spend, I don't know. I think that the other thing was Henry was always so close at hand for us that it was never that hard to just kind of peep in on him. But peeping in and then picking him up, I guess, are two different things. So
yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's like that feels like a meaningful sort of symbol of what the movie is trying to get at, is like, you know, do you, and then like those moments where, you know, Nick Offerman could have been like a better dad, just where the kid's talking about wanting to go back to school and he sort of pays lip service to the idea that he's going to support that, but we kind of see that he has no real intention of supporting
no plan
it.
to.
Yeah.
So that's it. Mine's my pick. What do you got, Ron? John, you're next.
Yes, I am next. And, you know, there's so many movies. There's like 3 movies that this could be. What movie shall it be of my movies 3?
Shall it be?
But I'll get to them all eventually. There was one movie that I really wanted to pick for this, but it was another 80s movie, and I feel like I've been kind of in an 80s, 90s zone lately with my picks, so I'm going to jump forward. And so I just finished reading a book that is like a boomer kind of author, and I don't mean that in the boomer, I mean that in the literal generational sense. I don't mean it in the pejorative sense. But like a lot of those boomer novelists, they wrote these novels, like there's great novelists, these guys who really are wordsmiths, but they're writing about these kind of like piece of shit guys and like a slice of life about their daily life, and like every woman they meet wants to bang them, and they're kind of like charmingly dissolute and drunk and horny, and it's like we're supposed to love these crappy guys. And I was like, it was a very well written book. It's called Nothing But Blue Skies by Thomas McGuane. It's a great author, but it was the first time that it really hit me that like, man, this feels like a certain amount of wish fulfillment for a guy where literally like every woman he meets, he has the option of screwing her, and it's just because he's this guy, you know, just because he's this handsome, disheveled guy. And I started thinking, have I ever really liked that type of story? You know, I feel like we get a lot of them. So I thought it would be fun to rewatch a story about a kind of disheveled but charming guy who creates problems for himself and the people around him, and see if I come out of it thinking this is boomer nonsense, like I did with this book, or to see if maybe there's something good you can find in Them Thar Hills. So the movie that I'm picking is a movie that I actually remember really well and watched several times, but I have not watched it probably in about 20 years. And it is from 2000, directed by Curtis Hanson, Wonder Boys.
Nice.
With a great cast, Michael Douglas, Robert Downey Jr., Tobey Maguire, Frances McDormand, Katie Holmes. Am I missing anybody? That's a great cast.
I mean, dude. That cast is insane. Rip Torn's in it. I remember.
Yeah, Rip Torn. So yeah, we're gonna watch a movie and see, like, okay, maybe, because I remember this one being a really good version of that guy, but he hits right in the middle of that kind of boomer self-insert character, because he's like a disheveled writer who, as I recall, he's been working on his second book for way too long, and he's written thousands of pages, and he
has years and years and years.
He can't finish it
Yeah.
because his first book was so well received, but he's like a beloved college professor. Anyway, so I think that it will be fun to see if there is such a good. I think there is. I think this movie probably has held up, but you know, it is 25 years old, so I don't know. I
I remember loving this movie. Yeah, I remember this one.
And I thought, especially after Sovereign, I wanted to give us a lighter film.
When you were describing it, it sounded like Rescue Me. Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary
had sex with so many women in that show. It's like, come on, man. Like,
well, in this book I just read, there's a scene where he goes fishing, or no, he goes to like the pond to splash around, and there's a woman in an inner tube there, and they say like one or two things to each other, and then he pulls himself over towards her inner tube and leans in to kiss her, and she leans in to kiss him. He's just met this woman, and then their inner tubes flop over because he starts reaching for her to grab her, and then she's so charmed by him that they like go off to a cabin and screw. And it's like he's just met this woman. there's like no, even then later she gives an explanation of like, oh, I figured, hey, why not? I'm just the kind of gal that goes for it or whatever. But it was still very much like maybe the third or fourth time in this book that it's like, man, this guy, he can't. It's like the presumption is when he meets a woman that like, am I gonna bang this one or not? You know. And it's also mixed in with a lot of stuff that I do think that the social critique in this book is interesting, but it does feel like it's cloaked in like this book was from 1992, and so what passed as like progressive thought for 1992 still feels very unself-aware in 2026 when you're reading it. Yeah. So it's not that it makes it bad, but it does make it feel like it's of a time. And yeah, Wonder Boys is based on a book that I haven't read, so I will not be the smug book reader about this film. I cannot say with authority whether it sticks to the book or not. So, you folks, I'm sorry in advance that I cannot bring that extra layer of pretension to the conversation. Have you, Steve, read the book at all? You
I've not read the book. No, I just remember watching the movie.
It's by Michael Chabon, who's a really good author. So,
and someone else, right, co-wrote, or the movie at least. Somebody.
I do think it has like a noteworthy screenwriter.
It's like a Clovis.
Yeah.
Let me see. Wonderful Days. I want to say it was the guy who also did.
It's Steve Kloves.
Yeah, Clovis. Yeah, he did like some of the Harry Potter movies. He did. What did he got, man? My brain's broken.
Fabulous Baker Boys.
Fabulous, yeah. He did that, and he did I think one of the screenplays for the Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield one.
Yeah. He did the first one. And then he did all the Fantastic Beast films, it seems.
He kind of settled into he was the Harry Potter guy.
Yeah, you're right.
That whole universe. He did like all of them. Or most of them. All right, cool.
So yeah, a real hack.
He did Wonder Boys and like, what's next? Harry Potter.
Well, what's interesting is that puts him in that zone the way that like Samuel L. Jackson is one of the biggest grossing actors of all time.
Sure.
Like that makes him probably one of the highest grossing screenwriters of all time.
For sure.
Because of the fact that he wrote 8 Harry Potter films.
Oh yeah,
which combined made whatever billions they made. I always think that's kind of like a fun fact to have about a person, and it does make that person a very bankable person, regardless of what they do forever. You know what I mean? It's just like if you're looking at it in terms of the numbers, like this screenwriter has made the studios this much money, because apparently he just got the gig, and they said, why not? Let's have an in-house guy. So, Wonder Boys.
Cool.
2000.
You guys were talking I don't know, jump out of order here, but I think, did you guys want to mention a show that you watched that
Speaking of Wonder Boys.
Sounded like that.
Oh,
let's talk about it, Wonder Man.
Maybe a more mature version. Yeah.
I even thought of that segue earlier and did not use it. So.
I got you, John.
Yeah, you got it.
Now, what happens to Wonder Boys when they grow up, Ronald?
Wonder Boy.
What does a Wonder Boy when he grows up? He becomes a
Wonder Man.
Oh, Wonder Man! Isn't that a new show on Disney Plus?
It is limited series.
Brought to you by Celsius Sparkling. What
if
it's on Disney Plus, it's a Celsius.
Yeah, so limited series. We have 8 episodes, about a half an hour each. What'd you think, John?
I've seen the first 3 of the 8. I know I could binge it, but I'm trying to actually not lose the feeling of how fun it is to have a show this fun to watch. So there you go. I thought it was really, really fun. I don't want to, it's like the umpteenth time we've said this about one of these Marvel shows, but this one is one of the 2 or 3 that I actually think you can say this about and mean it, which is, I think you could say this about WandaVision. I think you could say this about
Loki.
That this feels like something different. But this one is even more differenter from the MCU thing, because as I've gotten 3 episodes in, it's like got hints. It's like it's placed in the DC. I said DCU, didn't I? I meant MCU. It's placed in the MCU, but it's not the usual MCU, and I think that is something that gives it like an energy that is really fun to watch, and the discovery of what the actual story is. I haven't gotten into, maybe Ronald, if you've seen more, you know that the story might develop in a way that feels more typical. But thus far, it has not been a very typical roll-in for a Marvel character, and it has really felt like they're doing something. I mean, I wonder if we're going to see this character outside of this show, because a lot of the television shows have been these little closed universes. But it feels like we're getting a slow build up to a character who could really have some impact and do some cool things. So, and a performance, I think the 2 leads are incredible. The performance, just the chemistry between them together. I always forget his name. Yahya
Abdul-Mateen II.
Yeah. Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Mateen
II, who I've loved every time I've seen him. He was great in the Watchmen show. I mean, incredible in that. He was pretty darn good in the Candyman reboot. I didn't necessarily love that movie, but I thought his performance was great. And then Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery is just like, or Slattery is again, it takes a character that was comic relief and turns him into something a little bit more depth with, like, it's got more texture to it, and you can see why Ben Kingsley would come and do this. Like, he's actually getting to play a character, and he's actually getting to play off of another character. It doesn't feel like, I mean, thus far 3 episodes in, it doesn't feel like spectacle over substance at all. It actually feels like we're getting, strangely, a lot of information about what it's like to be an actor in LA. What did you think, Ronald? You said you've watched a little bit more, but have you enjoyed the show?
Yeah. I mean, I've thought it was great. I finished it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why it felt like it had like bones of like Atlanta, pieces of, and I watched it and I kind of looked into some of the writers, and that there's this lady, Kira Talise, who's a Black lady sketch show writer and Insecure, and I've noticed that, like, I'd say Insecure maybe has a closer humor to Atlanta than a lot of other things. And there's, as the season progresses, there's some things that kind of have some parallels to some standalone Atlanta episodes that are really, there's a special one that I think that you guys will love, that just,
oh, sweet.
It's just a funny, like, it standout, like real kind of standout. But yeah. And one of the things I think is really cool about the way that they're doing this connective tissue that they're doing is the character Trevor Slattery is a part of the proper MCU storyline, so that makes it, that gives it a different kind of legitimacy, because it's a part of, he was the fake Mandarin in Iron Man, and that solidifies it in a cool way there.
And it comes up again and again. Like, he's well known for that. And like the way he explains that, I was hired to do a thing, and he feels that he's done his time. But it's not that simple for the guy. I mean, that's an interesting little wrinkle to the thing.
It's like a role. It's like they really do present it like it was like a commercial. Like, he was taking on this character, And he had no idea that it would lead to some of the things, and even they even play out some of the scenes later on in the season where they go back to that time and show literally like he was presented with just like a role, like he didn't know that he was going to be a terrorist. He kind of didn't know, and then the role just kind of got a little bigger. He's like, yeah, I can handle this gun. Yeah, I can. They just kind of wrote bigger things in. Which is really cool.
That's funny.
But yeah, man, Yahya and Ben Kingsley have this insane chemistry.
Yeah.
And there's this everyday man thing about the Wonder Man role. I mean, the guy's annoying. I mean, like let's just kind of state what you'll probably notice in the beginning. He's kind of annoying because he gets in his own way. But as you see the way that he gets in his own way, I'm sure that you can draw some parallels to your life.
Absolutely.
I think we all get in our way in this particular way.
And we screw up opportunities for ourselves,
Yeah, it's a very particular way that everyone I've met under the sun has kind of sabotaged things. And it's just such a cool way that they've explained this. I don't know if I've ever seen a superhero this panic-ridden, this full of anxiety. And I think that's one of the cooler things about it. And again, man, like there's a scene, honestly, towards the end that made me cry. I mean, like I was, because I think some of it is just being an art person, music, or I wrote a script. I wrote a horror script. This is just random me saying this. Okay. I wrote a horror script. But yeah, it's just like this kind of this pursuit of turning the things in your head into concrete things on the outside world is really one of those things that only an artist can really understand. It doesn't matter what the craft is, but it really is a specific kind of thing.
Right.
And I think we all have dreams of that, though. Like, I think we're all artists. Like, I think that people act like artistry is just simple, like, oh, I would never get up on stage and do stand up. I mean, salespeople that are performers, that are artists in a way, like that do this kind of magic trick and make people buy things. There's an art to that stuff.
There's also an art to choosing a background image. I forgot to put up my background image for the required viewing segment, so I'll just leave it up when we talk about Wonder Man.
Good timing and placement. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right, and I think that maybe people who aren't, like, I was looking forward to this show from all the little trailer glimpses we got of it. I thought it looked really funny and fine, and I'm open to the idea of the MCU doing that, which is why I started this off by saying, like, we can say that about something, that this feels different, or this feels like they're literally doing something different from what they normally do. This one felt formally different, and this digging into a character's psychology and spending time with them like this, it helps that they have a really kind of fresh concept, but also, I mean, Yahya, we cannot overstate how much his performance makes this character work, because you're right, Ronald. Yeah. He could be played almost annoying. Like, he could be played as like, oh, this guy. But instead, we see that he just takes his craft really seriously. And even later, when Trevor Slattery is like helping him out with the audition and giving him notes, and Trevor is kind of a blowhard, but he also, there's a certain kind, at least from the part of the season I've watched, he knows a little something about the craft, and he's actually worked in the industry a little bit and can give Simon, Yahya's character, he can give him advice. And there's little moments where you can see him kind of like, it's the Gandalf effect. The way occasionally Gandalf would, like, Frodo or Sam does something, and then they cut to Ian McKellen and his eyes just kind of twinkle like he's proud of them or something. Yeah, there's a few moments where you can see that Yahya is getting something with his acting, kind of getting out of his way, as you were saying, like not overthinking it and going so deep into method or trying to come up with a backdrop. Like when he's explaining this backstory he's come up with for this character, and Trevor Slattery is kind of going, yeah, that's good. Even as you can tell, he's thinking, none of that's going to help you. with your audition. And then later when he finds himself kind of in the moment and he gives a good performance, you can tell that he's like proud of Simon. Like he's like almost like an acting teacher or something, which again feels like a natural role for this character, the way that Ben Kingsley is playing him, that he would be a guy who would, his ego would be flattered, like when he shows up at Simon's mother's birthday party and he's got like the smoking jacket and the pocket square, like that is because he's trying to conceal a microphone, but he's also a guy who would probably show up dressed to the nines like that, which makes me think there's probably a ton of like aging actors who've become acting teachers or mentors or something, who are that sort of guy, who have a sense of decorum and presenting themselves, but are also guys who are on the prowl. Like if you're an actor like that, you're never not on the prowl for like your next
reminds
gig.
me of Winkler's character in Barry.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Like a less frantic maybe version of that guy, but definitely in that zone. And the fact that we're talking so much about Hollywood and acting, and we haven't really mentioned anything about superpowers in this whole conversation, tells you a little something about the tone of this show, right, Ronald?
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that it's...
For sure. And that is expressed throughout the show, believe it or not. Even as we're talking about this stuff, it's throughout the entire show. Man, there's something I wanted to mention too. I gotta shout this out, man. Like, it is very obvious that some minorities were in the writing room. Mm-hmm. There's something about the attention to the Haitian background of this character. Just the idea that like it's an identity outside of being just a Black American. It is its own thing. Like Haitian culture has its own thing that just kind of gets plopped down in America. It's kind of the way that Southern. I mean, like, one day I kind of want to write about this, like how my grandmother's Southern culture, when it came to the like further up the northern part of the South, right, was very different than anything that was here. And it's really cool to see that stuff expressed in a way that felt really genuine, and you could feel it come out when Yaya got around his family. Like he became a little more Haitian. You'd hear a little more kick in his accent. Like him explaining.
But you also see that he's an outsider there.
Yes,
which I thought was an interesting, sensitive portrayal, that like Trevor is able to see the way in which he doesn't fit in with his family. And they even talk about him that way when his mom talks about him. I thought that was really kind of sweet, the way she was like, it's that whole thing where someone's maybe not being honest with somebody, and then someone like that person's mother or whatever says to them, "You're such a good friend to my son. I'm so glad you're here." And you can tell at that moment that Trevor starts to feel guilty about the ways in which maybe he hasn't been honest with Simon.
Reminds me of the Be Honest. Have you ever seen the Be Honest Victoria Beckham scene? So Victoria Beckham.
yes, where they're talking about like their upbringing and whether they've
lived
ever
a
known
modest life. Be honest. Be honest. And she's like, I was in a Rolls Royce. Okay, damn it, fucking you wanted me to say it. I was in a Rolls Royce. Yeah, it's funny.
But yeah, it's really good character stuff, which is just
really good.
Which is like something I would say the MCU, I guess I would say this, they've always done that well. Like whenever someone criticizes those movies as being about the effects or about the spectacle or whatever, I always want to say, no, for people that really dig the Marvel stuff, it's mostly about the characters. If you like the characters, you'll like the way you get to spend time with them. And these shows have been a chance to spend more time with a character. And I like that we're getting to spend this much time with an actor this good in a role that's this different from what we've seen before. And he is a little bit like, full of himself in an interesting way, like full of himself in a sort of, like he's hungry for something. And I think that makes him, as a protagonist, it's a good backdrop for whatever is going to happen next. And I'll say this, Ronald, you were talking about things that kind of got you emotionally. I thought very early, maybe even the first scene in The Thing. Yeah, it is the first scene, I'm pretty sure, where we see a flashback to the Wonder Man movie.
Yeah.
And we see him in the audience watching it with his dad. Yeah, and you can tell his dad is into this shit and is like looking at the son like, are you seeing this? And the son is looking at watching the movie and loving it, but also looking at his dad and seeing that his dad loves this. And you can see the kid like getting enjoyment from it because he knows this is something his dad likes. I mean, that's something that hits me super hard, both in both directions. Like when I think of all the things that I liked because I knew my dad liked them, and then I also think about how fun it is sitting in the theater, especially when Henry was younger, and he would, some Star Wars movie or some Marvel movie, and I'd be looking at him and he would look up at me with this face of like, awesome. It's like they really are nailing something about like, not necessarily fandom, but just the sort of, it's just a hint thus far of the character that I've seen, of the fact that there is something inside this character that might want to be something spectacular like that. But the idea that he would be kind of wanting to impress his dad is, really sweet and feels like something that Marvel hasn't really tapped into yet, which is kind of saying like, this is happening out in the audience. Do you know what I mean? Like they haven't done a lot of that. So yeah. I guess that's go see it. Go to your television and see it.
Go ahead and press that play button.
If you've been waiting, if you've been holding out, like I guess I would say that too. If you're looking for something that's like, oh, I like these Marvel things, but they start to seem kind of samey to me. This one is not, to me. Again, in the 3 episodes I've seen, it's not samey with anything they've done before. So,
yeah.
I honestly completely forgot it was coming out until like Tuesday of this week. I started seeing like, or maybe late last week, just tons of people posting about it and reviews coming out. But I definitely want to check. I love Yaya, but like I just like the idea of what you guys are describing it as too. Mm-hmm. It sounds really cool. So I guess speaking of bone temples, do we now go to our feature review?
Yeah.
We were anxious for John to get around to seeing 28 years later Bone Temple and on our text thread, and happy that we all got to see it and can talk about it this week because it came out 2 weeks ago, but 28 years later, Bone Temple, Nia DaCosta, written by Alex Garland, the second of a planned trilogy of this new phase of the 28 series. What you guys think?
Well, I loved it. I
think we all did, right?
I love a movie where I don't really know where it's going.
Right.
And also the elements of this movie, I said this about the 28 years later when we talked about it, that it has this feeling of like, I love when someone comes up with a futuristic scenario or a dystopian scenario that feels like it's creating new mythology somehow. Sure. That's like modern mythology. And I think the way that the first movie in this trilogy, if not the original movies, I would have to watch them again to see if they had traces of this. But this idea of, Lost kind of did this too. This idea of like you put people into this extreme situation and it's almost like a tribal kind of existence starts to happen with people, and like who's staking out this land and who operates in this area. It just is like it's like a depopulated world. There's not as many people in it, but there's also people kind of wherever you go still. So there's room to have like, oh, these people live in this place and this is how they do their thing. And these people live over here and they do a totally different sort of thing in their little compound. Right. And these groups can encounter each other and have such differences and it can be like really just unpredictable. And I think that they have Alex Garland wrote this script. Nia DaCosta directed this movie. I like Nia DaCosta a lot. I've always enjoyed, like the Candyman reboot, which is hers, but not fully hers, and then The Marvels, which is a movie that I think is underrated, honestly, for what it is, but it's not fully hers either. This feels to me like, honestly, I'm like, oh, I love this movie as much as I love Nia DaCosta. This is the first one that to me has really risen to how much I just enjoy. I love her in interviews, and I think that especially talking about the movies I just mentioned, The Marvels and the Candyman movie, like I don't know. There's just something about her that I feel like I can see why she would have been drawn to this material and see it as a chance to make a real movie that has those mythic elements. It feels like it's a horror film. It's a dystopia. It's a zombie movie. It's a sci-fi in a way kind of movie with the way that it approaches the threat and like this maybe possible solution to the threat. And then it's also got some incredible acting in it. And it has one scene that to me might, I mean, I check back in with me later in the year to see if there's any scene better than that fucking Iron Maiden scene. I mean, fucking, I loved the way that felt and what the character's doing, and it just underlines once again that Ralph Fiennes is one of our best actors, period. Like, he can do so many different things, and he seems to be having a blast in this movie. And yeah, everyone else in it is pretty great too. What's his name from Sinners?
Yeah, Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell, incredible in this. So yeah, like the way you guys were texting about it made me want to see it even more, but I was so glad that I kind of went into this movie somewhat cold as far as what the story was actually going to be, because it kept going to new and interesting places to me that felt like this is about as fantastical and exciting as a movie like this can be, without just like it doesn't remind me of The Walking Dead at all, even though on paper it would be like, oh yeah, this is sort of like a season of The Walking Dead smashed into a movie or something. Yeah. But it's so much more, I don't know, got implications. And I like too that Nia DaCosta didn't try to imitate Danny Boyle's directorial style for this. I like that Nia DaCosta saw it as an opportunity to kind of play with a different form of, you know, whatever the kind of fast cuts and stuff that get us in and out of some pretty, there's some really interesting ideas in this when we finally see like what the zombies see when they attack us. I thought that was incredible.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So just full of really cool touches that make this both a more grounded movie and some ways, like I said, a more fantastical one. Ronald, you haven't said much about it.
I think this was really special because, the first one was intense, and, trilogy is a hard thing to kind of execute, especially if you announce it before the fuck it comes out. I'm a little like, I'm always on edge. This
when they announced plans for a trilogy or whatever. Yeah.
And then more movies after that. Like, they're talking about maybe more movies after the I was like dizzy just hearing that kind of stuff. This could have been a lull in the middle of, what I was expecting was exciting, lull, and then really exciting for the third. But once I heard that Nia DaCosta was a part of it, I just got really excited. I just got very excited. I loved what, I didn't love Candyman, but that was also like a script thing. The feel of it, the dread, the things that I know that she was responsible for felt really very real to me. Like, very much like this. I want to see more things like this. Haven't seen Heat yet, but I had that's incredible as well. She's made a movie every year for the past like 8 years or something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. She has like a weird record, like it's insane. Right. But this was it. This was the fleshing out of characters that I just wasn't expecting to care about. Who would have known? I get to love the big, scary, fucking crazed alpha walking around, yanking off people's heads.
That performance was honestly like you buy it so much, and it could have been so corny. You know what I mean? Like what he's doing in this could have been so corny, but like he really sells it. That actor, what's his name? He deserves to be named.
Good luck.
Dee. We should have like music that plays when we're looking for an answer like this. Bone Temple. Chai Lewis Perry.
Okay. Chai Lewis Perry.
Don't accidentally type in Boner Temple. I did that. It's not something you want to watch. Yeah, I accidentally typed in Bone Temple.
Yeah, whatever.
But no, Bone Temple. Has got. I mean, all the acting in it is great, but I think Chai Lewis Perry might have the biggest challenge in a way.
Yeah. There's a lot of face acting to me is some of the hardest acting to do, specifically if his character literally can't use his words, and there's a lot of emoting that's happening, particularly when him and is it Ralph Fiennes? I always confused.
It's Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe.
Okay,
but you can call him Dr. Ian Kelsey.
Rafe, but spelled like nasty. Ralph. It makes me uncomfortable. Rafe. Okay. Well, what he's doing in this movie, like the fleshing out of his character, and then seeing how his life is outside of, you know, creating this bone temple, and there's a lot of depth to him. There's a lot of, you know, he's funny. He's also really funny, and that's what that kind of came across faintly in the first one, but he was full on like a ride in this one in a really cool way that didn't feel distracting. Yeah. You know, it's just like a man trying to make the best of his circumstances,
a good man.
Yeah,
like a guy who's genuinely a decent man, and like what he's expected to do in the story. I love what he buys. Like, I love that when he has like, okay, you want me to do this thing, he gets asked to do something, a favor for Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal comes to him and asks for a favor, and Ray Fine, Dr. Ian Kelson, he agrees to it.
Yeah.
Even though at this point he doesn't know what we know about Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal as far as like the kind of guy he is, I guess, but he agrees to it, and then he so fully commits to it. Like his little presentation that he puts on is so effective and like so designed to make those people in that little kind of cult buy into this illusion that he's trying to create. I just love that, like what you're saying, Ronald, about the character, that like he's like an old wizard that like, oh, he'll do this trick, he'll do that trick, oh, he'll go on this mission, you know, he kind of accepts the assignment and then like changes his approach to it in the middle of it because he starts to see some new information. But it's a really great character, and really, you know, I'm very hopeful for the third one in the sense of I love where this movie left off. Like, Steve, wasn't that ending that ending line even? Amazing. There's like a brief exchange at the end of the movie that got me so pumped and felt so hopeful, right? I mean, that's the thing that's a little surprising, is this might turn out to be an upbeat zombie trilogy by the time it gets to the end.
Maybe it could take that turn. That would be the best part about it, maybe.
Because it's been rough. This last two have been a lot of torture, man. A lot of torture, a lot of brutality. And you know, it's funny when we meet this group. It almost reminded me of what's the director's name that did Begonia?
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah, Dogtooth. The way that there was like this language that they had about these very specific parts of their culture, and then you find out what a sacrifice is, and all this terminology. Like, what
charity,
is this?
When they say charity
and all that stuff.
Oh man, love it.
What it means, and you're like, oh, it just reminded me of Dogtooth, like the way that a nice thing could mean something totally different in this world,
like a closed system too, where these people don't realize how wrong they have it based on who's been influencing them. Yes, that's a good comparison.
And
I haven't even seen Dogtooth. I just know what it's about.
Oh man, you gotta see Dogtooth, man. You know, it's crazy. I like his early. Something like such a. Well, I enjoy his earlier stuff.
I prefer the older titles, more modern offerings.
But yeah, that system of teaching you about this brutality is really interesting, because you hear charity, like, oh, they keep saying it. And then you're like, oh no, this is what's happening?
Right.
Yeah, and it just happens, and it's like it's brutal, and seeing people's reaction to it, and then that, you know, it just plays into the emotional development of a lot of these characters. Another standout was Freckleface from
Erin Kellyman.
Oh man, she's so goddamn
plays
good.
Jimmy Inc.
Yeah,
from Solo, A Star Wars Story, and from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
So she's been in a lot of, like, even though I love Solo, that was sort of a non-starter as far as like a star-making turn. But like, right. You know, she's had all these attempts at like being in these franchises where a name could emerge from it, but always had a great like on-screen presence, I think. Just a really magnetic actor, and I love what her character gets to do in this. I love the position she's in. She's that.
Me too, man.
Again, everybody's sort of got an intriguing moral position. Like, you don't really know what anybody's going to do in this story. And the whole Teletubbies thing was hilarious to me. I've always thought about that. I used to have a short story that I never could quite finish, but about people in the future, and you realize after a while they're like out in the woods around a fire, and you realize it's like the dystopian future, and what they're doing is they're acting out music videos, but like around the fire, and that was something that just stuck with me as like. Again, a silly idea in a way, but the idea that you'd be like, well, we love this Bjork video, but the only way to have it live on now is to perform it for each other out in the woods. Yeah. And I remember in that, what's the Reign of Fire? Is that the dragon movie where they're like doing Star Wars as like a fireside story for the kids? Like they're telling Star Wars as though it's like an old myth, And I don't know, I love that idea, but I love, so this group and it's interesting that you think of them as part of the mythology of the 28 blanks later universe, right? Is that the world ended in 2000 or 1999 or something? That like that's when things went bad. So pop culture stopped then.
Right.
So Jimmy Crystal and his little group, their kids, like he remembers what was around for a kid his age at that point in time. I think that's just something that this whole world, like they didn't get to our modern history. Like in this world, they never got to, I mean, maybe 9/11 happened, but it didn't happen before the bottom fell out. And that's the other thing that the last movie hinted at, right? Is that outside of England, there's a lot of places where this just didn't happen.
Right.
So that's, there's so much world building that goes on in this without feeling like they're just doing it for the sake of it. It just is, it's a really interesting universe. And I love the imagery, just that moment when the Jimmy Crystal gang are like watching Ray Fine, and they think he might be the devil, and like the idea that he's covered in iodine because it wards off the sickness or whatever, the infection from the zombies, and that he's built this temple out of bones that he's dancing around in. The idea that you would see him from across the meadow there and be like, who's this red guy dancing around in a temple full of bones, and that you would think it's the devil. To me, that is like that's the best way to explain that thing I'm talking about, which is like this combination of, it's a grounded idea, but it's also really mythical. Like the idea that what Dr. Kelson is a very unique specimen in this world. And what he's doing is funny, like you said, very, very funny performance, but he's also like, you just don't know what that guy's doing. If you saw him from across the hill, you'd be like, why is he dancing with that zombie?
Yeah. And that zombie kills everyone. Why is he not killing the devil?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
He must work for him. Yeah.
Yes. That is, I would feel that, man. If I saw him dancing with that alpha that I saw rip off a couple of people's heads, I would have felt the same way.
And the other thing we're getting at here too that is interesting is that, right, that Jimmy Crystal's, he believes the shit that he's saying.
Right. Oh man.
Like it's not a cult where the guy thinks he's not putting one over on everybody. He actually is, hears the voice and like thinks that he knows what's going on. I thought that was that moment where he's kind of trying to adapt to this new information of like, wait, maybe we've actually just met the devil. And he's got to like deal with it. He doesn't approach it like it's a sham. He approaches it like, are you really the guy? I don't know. I just feel like without saying too much more about the plot, I think that this movie's got some really philosophical twists and turns in it that the characters go through that I think makes it really, really watchable. And I can't wait to see what they do in the next one. I know the next one is not this. It's not done back to back like these two are. I think they're trying to get the next one off its, through development now. But this movie was not enough of a success in terms of box office to make the third one an automatic thing. So hopefully we'll still get to see what their intentions are for this trilogy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think there's a couple of different things I saw where some stuff was saying it could start shooting as early as March of this year, if not this summer. But that if it was in March, there's a chance it could come out at the end of the year, but most likely at some point in 2027. But I really walked out of this movie immediately having to text you guys just saying like this movie was awesome. Like I really, really loved 28 Years Later. Like it was on my top 10, and it was on Ronald's like for last year. And I liked I don't know if I might have liked this one more. I think,
I think so
as
too,
it sits with me, I'd like to watch it again. I do feel like there were some scenes in the 28 years later that just like emotionally I thought were really pretty incredible. And they're very different kinds of movies in this trilogy. This one feels a little more self-contained, even though it has the through line with the Alpha and with Rafe's character. But I just love, yeah, man. I don't know. I just like really love these movies. They're so consistently good, and for the genre and the type of genre film they are, like it's always got something unique going on. Whether it was the fast zombies when the first one came out, or the idea of how it spreads, and how quickly it spreads. Like in this one, you have the person getting the blood on them again, and you're reminded of how quickly it spreads to the point that the family just runs away because they know it's way too late. Like that reminder of the rules, even though new rules are being broken, or possibly broken in this one, which is I love that idea. It's like, let's reset them and know what's going on. And there's also like, oh wow, well, is this a new kink in the idea of what could happen? And whether that gets fully explored in the last film or not, I'm not sure. But I don't know if there's enough time to really do that, or a way to connect those dots with the Alpha. But just super entertaining. I love Jack O'Connell's performance and the whole group. The barn scene was just gnarly. I mean, just absolutely crazy. And yeah, just it bums me that this one didn't do as well box office wise as the last one. And I don't know what maybe time of year or what that was, but I hope it still finds a pretty good audience in theaters and when it comes home. But I thought Bone Temple was awesome.
Maybe we can give it a third weekend bump by saying what we're saying about it.
I mean, that's the plan, right? Let's go, guys. You've heard it on Movie Schmovie. If you were waiting for our take, there it was. But yeah, definitely check it out if you can in theaters, because yeah, it also just played awesome in the theater. Like it sounded awesome. That and the Iron Maiden scene was just insane, like awesome. Yeah. Like we were just looking at each other like, oh my god, that's happening right now. That is happening.
It's happening, and it's like well shot, and like the images of the Bone Temple at night lit up by candles and stuff is just like
and
beautiful imagery.
Rafe's performance is just like you could not be more committed to selling this and in the story and as a performance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this guy is Ian Kelson. Like Ray Fine is getting into it, but in the movie, Ian Kelson is getting way into this and like really seemingly kind of having fun, really putting it on. Like, and he does a great job in terms of what's asked of him. Yeah. He does a great job, right down to blowing those drugs in their faces so that they all sort of have even more of a hallucination, type experience. And we haven't mentioned the little kid who plays Spike, but he was really good too. I mean, it's just not a case where you worry about a child actor. I think what's the kid's name? What is his name?
I don't know. This is how we prep so well.
I know. This would be once again where you cue the music that we play. The character
Alfie Williams.
Spike. Oh, that's right, Alfie Williams. Really good child actor. I mean, honestly, in the first movie in this trilogy, or proposed trilogy, he was like, you didn't worry about it because he was good in that, but he really has some interesting things to play in this in terms of just it's not like the movie plays it as a really heavy through line of is he going to turn fully evil or not, but you are continually tracking the effects that this world is having on him. Kind of similar to watching Jacob Tremblay in Sovereign, where you're just watching this kid and going, wait a minute, is this warping him or is he retaining his sense of self in the middle of all this stuff? And the movie gives you an answer to that, like we don't know what's going to happen in the next movie, but presumably he will be in it. And we also get, there's other things to look forward to about the next movie based on the way this one ends that I really want to see what they do with that.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun, right? To have a movie that gives us a little bit of that feeling you get from like a big franchise movie almost. I mean, I hate to use that term, but I just mean that feeling of I like these characters, I like this world. I think that if you stand back from what will be, 4 movies now, maybe 5, maybe more if they keep going, I think it'll be fun to look back and say this is the chapter that really delved into the character of Dr. Ian Kelson. And yeah, his story was and is like a really cool character to put in this kind of apocalyptic world.
Yeah. Cool. Anything
else?
Just wanted to really mention quickly the apocalyptic comment made me remember we're catching up and finishing a show that came out 5 years ago that I've always wanted to watch and just got around, maybe because of the being home for all week.
Is it an HBO show?
It is. Station 11. So I've never heard anything besides like raves and about this show. And I remember we started watching it when it aired in December of 21 while we were in the midst of a pandemic ourselves. And I remember I think my wife getting like kind of discouraged by watching it because of what we were experiencing. And I think it just kind of fell out for us.
Yeah. It was a little too miserable or something.
Right. And like by default, I kind of stopped watching it. But yeah, it's been floating around my space in my head over the past like few weeks or months, and kind of kept coming up in different weird ways. So we are like only an episode or 2 away from finishing it, and I just want to say that it is like phenomenal. It is good, absolutely incredible, and I was telling Aaron like. It was cool because like when we first watched it, I was so excited to watch it. I wasn't familiar with the book, but I know that it was like, a beloved book and whatnot. But like when my buddy and I were in Chicago right before the pandemic hit, they were filming a scene for the show while we were downtown.
Oh, wow.
Like one of the scenes where, God, was Himesh Patel's character, what is it, Javine, now I'm blanking on the character's name in the show, but when they come out of the brother's apartment and first go back out into the snow, like that, some of that sequence in like, the series, we kind of sort of got to watch a little bit of it being filmed, and it was kind of like, wow, that's awesome. And then finding out that it was this apparently amazing book and an award-winning book. And I don't know, just to say I'm finally now getting, maybe because I was in Chicago recently and it made me think of it subconsciously, but yeah, that show is so. I mean, I can't finish. I'm not done, but I wanted to just put on anybody's radar the post-apocalyptic, the hope, the human condition, like all that conversation around these circumstances. I mean, just phenomenal show. Like, holy hell! Like it is outstanding. I can't wait. We might finish watching it tonight after we get done recording. But I wanted to just. It's a few years late, but. Better late than never. If you're looking for an amazing show on HBO, it's Station 11 is outstanding.
That's part of our HBO report. Because HBO also has right now, if you go to your HBO Max app, you've got season 3 of Primal, that incredible animated series by Gendy Tarkovsky that's like back for a surprise season 3 that is wild as hell. And in some ways, for me, the first few episodes are like, I love the first season and most of the second season of that show. I also love the whole thing, but it's like it just gets so crazy, and the way it ended was just nuts. This first few episodes it's finding a really intriguing way to get back to some of the kind of simplicity of the show when it began, but it's a totally different setup. But yeah, incredible animation and really great visual storytelling, and bizarrely violent and disturbing in that sense, but yeah, like really fun to look at. And then the other thing HBO has going right now, I'm really in love with Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Game of Thrones spinoff that is 2 episodes in and has really I mean, not quite as bold of a difference. Well, in some ways it is, because there's like a different style. These episodes are like half hour or around a half hour long. The first one might be 43 minutes and the second one was like 35 minutes. And there are like cutaways and flashbacks, like a character will make a reference to something and you'll get a cutaway and you'll cut back, and it's like not like sitcom structure, but it's a slightly more jokey, light on its feet kind of structure, and without breaking the world. And like you're meeting characters who are meeting each other and occasionally being kind to each other, and it's not full of like scheming, overprivileged people who are vying for the throne. It's more about like more common folk, and it's staying totally over the shoulder of the lead character, this guy Sir Dunk, who's a knight, or is he a knight? You know, the whole question of whether he was ever actually knighted or not. But he's just a really likable kind of young guy who's trying to make his mark in this world. And we know how ugly and big and brutal this world is. But what they've shown us in the first few episodes of the show is much more just a very over the shoulder of one character, and a kinder, gentler, more lighthearted version of this world. And it's surprising how well it works. It really does feel like, they could expand the game. If they could, you know, it's possible to spin off from this world and not just be like basically more of that exact same tone, which, as much as I love House of the Dragon, it kind of aspires to be the tone in many ways of Game of Thrones, whereas this show is freeing itself up to do a lot less. And I think really, honestly, great. The first 2 episodes were really like super, super fun and super heartwarming, which is a strange thing to say about a Game of Thrones spinoff. So
nice. Yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah. And plus you see a giant dong. So if you're thinking, is this anything like Boner Temple? It is. It is.
Another HBO show, The Pit. Are you watching it right now?
I haven't been watching it, but I know it's back. I think that's great. That show's back with a season 2. Like in a year, is this going to be like an annual show now? That's great if they can keep that rhythm.
Like it. You know, it seems like one of those shows that they're writing the new season for as they're ending the current one. That seems to be writing like crazy. This season is really interesting because there's a. Let's say this. Just watch it.
Yeah, I plan to.
It starts with a very definitive statement, and it kind of builds on that idea. It's just really solid. And what's fun is when we record today, I always watch it at night, like the night that we record. I'm like, it's my relaxing, even though it's so tense.
Don't you think really tense things can serve to relax you? Because I found that, like, as a very nervous person, it's weird how much I love horror movies. Because I know people who are like, I can't handle that. And I'm like, I guess I do find some kind of release in seeing tense things happen to someone else.
Speaking of horror films, I'm going to try to see that new Sam Raimi movie this weekend.
I can't wait.
Yeah, definitely, dude. That looks good.
Send help. I'm very excited. I keep hearing Sam Raimi's back. That's like the headline I keep seeing.
Well, he never left, but he does have that ability now. If he does one of these, I mean, I guess the last one that was like this was Drag Me to Hell, where it's like he can make a kind of roller coaster type elevated B movie sort of thing, and it feels like he's getting back to his roots. You know what I mean? That like when he's doing Multiverse of Madness or something like that, you don't feel like he's like, that's not to say that he's not doing something personal, but he doesn't feel like he's totally in his Sam Raimi zone. But when he does something like this, it looks like, you know, the kind of nasty, fun Sam Raimi that made us love the guy.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And that's out this, like when this episode comes out, that movie's out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we can cover it next week.
Excuse me.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, that's an episode. Schmovie.com is the website. You can go there to listen to the podcast, subscribe to the audio version of it in whatever podcast platform you prefer. YouTube.com/Movie Podcast is the other alternative. Now, if you go there, you've had audio options, you got video options, you got long videos, short videos, all the videos, they're all there. As well as other little segments that we're doing for Kaleidoscape coming up here, where we're reviewing some of their releases as a new kind of segment. What's it called at home? Is that what we call it, Ronald?
Man.
The home cut?
Forgot.
Home cut. Yeah, home cut.
So yeah, that's all on YouTube. So you can go there. You can pretty much do anything you'd like to do with this podcast at your disposal. Subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications. Don't forget about us. You can subscribe, but you got to get that notification, or you're probably gonna forget. Life's crazy, So we'd appreciate any of that if you could do any of it. It'd be really, really kind. And we'll probably personally thank each and every one of you that does it once we find you. We will find you, but it'll take a little time. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you made our day.
Bye.